Good morning, everybody, and we are live. It is a gorgeous day here in Texas. It is a beautiful day, and I don't mean just because Colin Allred beat Ted Cruz like a drum in the debate last night, but let's get into it. Grab your cup of coffee and let's talk about it. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're happy and excited as I am. It was a good night last night. I really hope you got to watch that debate. If you didn't, I've got a few of the highlights for you. It is just, this is exactly what I've been talking about, folks. You know, a lot of people have been asking me, do you think Colin Allred can win? Do you think, can y'all flip Texas blue? Texas is already blue. Texas is a blue state. We had a voter apathy problem, but the Republicans have done a lot to take care of that for us. It's been really amazing to see the transformation here. The voter registration numbers, you see the trends all over the country. Georgia just started early voting, and it is off the charts. We just saw, you've seen the parades in the villages in Florida with them old timers for Trump getting out on their golf carts. Well, they just had a parade that was like 2 miles long. It was for Kamala Harris. I mean, this whole election cycle has just been different. I mean, it has been fantastic. And a big reason is, I'll be honest with you, the Democratic Party realized they had to step up their game. And the quality of candidates that they're putting forward, it's just fantastic. I mean, you've seen how deep our bench is. And it's because we've got folks like Colin Allred. Let's get into some of the clips and let you see exactly what I'm talking about. This is what I've seen. I've spent time talking to Colin Allred. You've seen the tape. You've seen the images I put out. You've seen the pictures of his campaign put out with us together talking. And, it is something I have known, I have been aware of for a very, very long time. Everybody got to see it last night. Let's start off by setting the mood. This was actually the closing. We'll start with the closing from last night's debate. It was really good.
Sure. You get 60 seconds, sir.
Sure. Well, I want to thank y'all for moderating. You did an excellent job. I want to thank Senator Cruz for a spirited debate. Listen, we're all Texans. My idol, John Lewis, used to say that we might have come here on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. We're all Americans, and we're all Texans. We need a leader who will bring us together around our shared values. That's what I've tried to do in my 6 years in Congress. That's the exact opposite of what Senator Cruz has done. Whatever he says tonight, you've seen it for 12 years. He's been one of the most divisive senators in the entire country. If you don't like how things are going in Washington right now, well, you know what? He is singularly responsible for it. He has introduced this new kind of angertainment where you just get people upset and then you podcast about it and you write a book about it and you make some money on it. But you're not actually there when people need you. Like when the lights went out, when 30 million Texans were relying on a senator to spring into action. He went to Cancun. That's who he is. If you give me the chance to be your United States Senator, I'll never abandon you. And I'm asking for your vote and for your support in this election.
Congressman.
Yeah, that wasn't the highlight of the night, but it just gives you an idea of what we were looking at. You know, I mean, nailed it. The angertainment, that is going to be the new word that is just spread all over the place. It is fantastic. That is just sums it up perfectly what the GOP is. And that's what Ted Cruz was all night last night. He was just, you know, as somebody that follows politics, you kind of have an understanding. You think of these things and you're watching these performances, and it's just not, you're not just soaking in what they're saying. You start thinking about what was the strategy behind this? What was the meeting coming in? What was said? What was talked about during debate prep? And you can tell that they got in Ted Cruz's head about the fact that he is not going to be, for the lack of a better word, I hate this term because it's stupid ideology, but the alpha male. Ted Cruz knew he was going to be highly overshadowed last night, in both physical stature and in just the way they handle themselves. And their strategy was for Ted Cruz to scream at the camera, to pretend to be angry. He even went after the moderator one for a few seconds there, because the moderator would not repeat a question that Ted Cruz kept trying to ask Colin Allred. And he got really angry because they thought they were going to bait the moderator into asking the questions that they wanted Ted Cruz and his campaign wanted asked. And Ted Cruz just lost it. I mean, he just, and he kept pointing at the camera, and he was red, and he was just, you could just tell they got in his head and said, you have to exude confidence. You have to exude, of course, for a Republican, confidence means anger. And he just looked petty and small and dumb. And he just kept saying the stupidest things. He even went so far as to, do you remember the scandal that they had? I call it a scandal. Wasn't really a scandal. It was just a damn disgrace, with Imane Khalif, the boxer in the Olympics. All the right wingers kept saying, she's a man. She's a man. Her DNA showed she's a man. Well, that was just roundly debunked. And where it came from, and it's important that you know this, where it came from was actually literally came from the Russians. This is the head of the IBA. This is one of Putin's sycophants. One second. Give me 5 seconds to pull this up. This is the Russian head of the International Boxing Association, the IBA. His name's Umar Kremlin. He is a Putin sycophant, and he's the one that came up with those talking points. The Russians said, going into the Olympics, since we're not allowed to, play in the sandbox, we're gonna do this. We're gonna have the IBA accuse several boxers. It wasn't just Imane Khalif, several boxers of this narrative that they're pushing forward. That it's actually men that are transgender boxing, and that's where it came from. And Ted Cruz ran with it last night. He really thought attacking transgender folks and trying to say, Colin Allred wants men to participate in women's sports and all that. He really thought that was going to take him to the promised land. His entire debate strategy was built for Truth Social. And I tell you, it was fantastic because Colin Allred just took him to the woodshed on this. It was really good. There were a couple of exchanges that were entertaining.
You have 60 seconds.
I mean, it's a lot. And I stand here as a proxy for millions of Texans who are sick and tired of this act. When Ted Cruz starts talking about team sports, you got to watch out, because the only position he ever played was left out. I'm not trying to be mean, Senator, but just sit this one out, please. Listen, I don't.
You have 60 seconds.
I mean,
I mean, he went there. Yeah, we're talking about sports. Why don't you just sit this one out, Ted? Only position you ever played is left out. Oh, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Colin Allred talking again about debate strategy. See, the problem with debating somebody like Trump or debating somebody like Ted Cruz or JD Vance or anybody, this is why I was so mad about the debate with JD Vance, is you cannot engage in the nonsense they say. They're going to say outrageous crap. And the whole point of it is to get you to argue about their crap. And it eats up the time. And you can't talk about them and their record and how bad they are because you're having a stupid conversation about Imam Khalif that's been completely debunked, that only feeds into the worst among us who want to believe awful, horrible crap. No, Colin Allred was having none of it. None of his debate strategy and debate prep. I'm telling you, his team is one of the best in politics right now. They are just killing it. They did an amazing job with this. They did. Thank you for the support. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. Tamara Gaysford says Cancun Cruz couldn't answer one question without mentioning VP Harris. I know. You would think by listening to, and that was another thing that was just freaking hilarious. You would think, listening to that debate last night with Ted Cruz, that Kamala Harris was president of the United States. You really would. You would think she was president of the United States. It was amazing. Everything that he responded had Kamala Harris, immigration, transgender in every response. It was actually pretty damn pathetic. It was. But it did take a serious turn, and you could tell I was a little worried. Because, again, I'm watching for more than just what is he saying. I was watching for strategy. How are they doing? See if you could pick up the sincere anger that comes out of Colin Allred here. I was a little worried they were going to throw him off. This was a moment he was going to come off his game. He did not. I will tell you in advance, he did not. But see if you could pick up this moment of just sincere anger and well-justified anger.
I have to say, you can't be for the mob on January 6th and for the officers. You can't. And it's not funny because you're a threat to democracy.
Sure.
I was on the House floor when we went through the votes. I remember when you objected to the results in Arizona. Y'all at home might remember where you were on January 6th, what you were doing. I know where I was, and I know where he was. I remember when they told us to reach under our seats for these gas masks. I didn't know we had because they had deployed tear gas in the rotunda. The officers locked all the doors. We barred the doors the president walks through to deliver the State of the Union with furniture that we usually use to hold paper. And I texted my wife, Allie, who was 7 months pregnant with our son, Cameron, and at home with our son, Jordan, who wasn't yet 2. Whatever happens, I love you. And I took off my suit jacket, and I was prepared to defend the House floor from the mob. At the same time, after he'd gone around the country lying about the election, after he'd been the architect of the attempt to overthrow that election, when that mob came, Senator Cruz was hiding in a supply closet. And that's okay. I don't want him to get hurt by the mob. I really don't. This election is his accountability. You cannot just be patriotic when your side wins. If for the first time in 250 years, this project of ours, this shared American project, that we did not have a peaceful transfer of power, the folks responsible have to be held accountable. That's why Liz Cheney has endorsed me, has got involved in this campaign, and is saying to Texans everywhere, do not put Ted Cruz back in a position of authority, because he's done it once, he'll do it again.
I tell you, if you were watching, you could tell. Yeah, all right. An attorney will advise you. If you've got a client that gets arrested repeatedly and you have a chance to sit down with your attorney, they will advise you. Or if you're well-heeled and you get to surrender yourself or whatever, your attorney's going to advise you. When you take your mugshot, smile. Smile. so that when we present your photo, you don't look dangerous. You don't look like, this is getting to you. You don't look like, oh my God, this is a problem. Or you don't look angry, or you don't look scared, or you don't look, smile. You can tell in Cruz's debate prep, they told him, smile, act like you're above the fray. Act like that you're just like a duck on a pond, just smooth and graceful. And this and that. He looked ridiculous. He looked smug. He looked childish. Ted Cruz does not understand these kinds of directions because he emotionally, you could tell there's something that just doesn't connect with him. And the whole debate, he was going from, Ron DeSantis weird smiling to every time he would talk, he was screaming. He was screaming. It was one of the worst debate performances I have ever seen. And it is hilarious to watch Fox and everybody trying to spin this as, oh, well, Ted Cruz, he's that savvy debater. No, he was crap last night. He was. And I tell you, Colin Allred landed some great shots. I mean, just really, 70% of people that watched the debate last night said that Colin Allred cleaned the floor with Ted Cruz. And it was because of serious, important statements like this. Versus the clownery that was Ted Cruz talking about boxers that, from the Olympics that are really men and all that debunked crap.
Trying to deceive
I
voters.
want to jump in here, but I think it's too important.
We'll give you 60 seconds.
I want to be very clear to the people of Texas. I support the protections and the restrictions under Rove. But Senator Cruz just called himself pro-life. You're not. You're not pro-life. It's not pro-life to deny women care so long that they can't have children anymore. It's not pro-life to force a victim of rape to carry their rapist's baby. It's not pro-life that our maternal mortality rate has skyrocketed up by 56%. That's not pro-life, Senator. So to every Texas woman at home, and every Texas family watching this, understand that when Ted Cruz says he's pro-life, he doesn't mean yours.
He's trying to deceive the voters
I
of
want to
Texas.
jump in here because
So yeah, folks, when you've been asking me, can Colin Allred win? Oh yeah. This is the Colin Allred I have known. This is the Colin Allred that came to our show. You heard him speak. He is going to be an amazing senator. And again, last night didn't take the bait at all. Did a fantastic job. Stayed on message. Delivered an important message that we needed to hear. And more importantly, again, I've said this before. What do I really like about Colin Allred is he understands his job, and he understands it is not to be part of the entertainment industry. He understands everybody's lane. You've got Ted Cruz out there not being a senator. You got Ted Cruz doing my job. He does a podcast where he does a show like mine. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. Could you imagine for a second Colin Allred doing this? No, because he's a serious man. And he stayed in his lane last night. He talked about policy. He talked about, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. It really was. I tell you, this election is very different, folks. It is very different. If you will just show up and vote, we have all the momentum in the world, and Colin Allred did an incredible job, folks. We're less than 3 weeks away from the election. Early voting is starting in many places. It starts this week for us in Texas. It is, and we're killing it. Early voting numbers. I'm getting people sending me emails that are tracking early voting. We are killing it in early voting. Good job, people. Good job. Yeah, no kidding, right? No kidding. You know what? If Colin Allred continues on the track he's on, I could see him running for president. 2032. He's a young man. 2032. Yeah. Yeah. I could see a President Allred. I could. He is doing amazing things. He really is. But that wasn't the only news that we had yesterday. Trump has just, I keep telling you, he's got pudding for brains. I keep telling you, he's got pudding for brains. And yeah, a lot of people, I saw some comments in there about Jimmy Kimmel's, Jimmy Kimmel absolutely destroyed Trump last night, about him lying about how Jimmy Kimmel comes to meet him on the sidewalk. And Jimmy Kimmel pointed out, I don't meet anybody on the sidewalk. No, the sidewalk is where we line the fans up, this, that, and the other. Nobody goes out. Our guests don't even come in on the sidewalk. We've got an entrance, and you could see him pause for a second. Should I tell people this? The guests come in the back alley. And you could see what he was talking about. You could see the thought in his head when he was saying, and the guests come in. Well, they come in the back alley, and I don't meet them out there either. Kimmel just destroyed Trump because Trump, he's having this rally, right? We're supposed to be doing a Q&A. It's supposed to be a town hall. Thanks for the support, Political Musings. I really appreciate you. I do. He's supposed to be a town hall. He's supposed to be taking questions and answering questions, and he can't. He just can't. Y'all remember, and I'm intentionally going to play. Don't get mad at me for playing this clip. It is Omarosa Manigault. Okay, I know y'all are serious people. She is an unserious person, but the reason I want to play this clip is to remind everybody what the Trump White House was. I mean, I think this close to the election, it's good to have a little reminder of what the Trump White House was. This is Omarosa Manigault just did an interview. This isn't old. This is new. Yeah, no kidding. Send him packing to Cancun. Go back to the Ritz-Carlton, man, and stay there. Nobody needs you here. You ain't got a job. Amen. But Omarosa Manigault, I just think it's good to have a reminder of what the White House was. Yes, she used to work in the White House. They actually had to walk her out of the White House. But she's talking about Trump and where he is and oh, damn. Just lost my tab. 1 second. Be patient with me. I'm going to do a Hal Sparks here. I'm going to put you on hold for just a second. There you go. Got it back right away. Amen. That wasn't too long, was it? You got to forgive me. I'm a one-man show here. Every once in a while I screw up, especially when I got a lot of tabs. It's really easy to hit the delete tab instead of selecting the tab for screen share. And anyways, just be patient with me, folks.
Back in your memoir, back in what, 20?
All right, here we go. I got my crap together. I think I got my crap together. All right, this video is just not going to cooperate. Let's see if we can try this one more time. If we don't get it the next time, we're moving on. Oh my God. This is hilarious.
Back in your memoir, back in what, 2018, that you thought Trump was showing signs of mental decline. That's a pretty serious accusation. How does that Trump compare to the one you see now?
Well, I talked in Unhinged about how when we were in the boardroom for The Apprentice, Donald could come up with these very complicated figures. He could stand there and recall all of the details of a deal, and he would share those with us. And as time went on, particularly when I observed him in the first year when we were in the White House, Donald was unable to recall basic figures. He would forget the name of his cabinet members. He would forget key details of policy issues that we were talking about as we were preparing for him to go out on stage. This was after he was briefed just moments before. That was in 2018. Let's talk about what we're observing right now in 2024. The reason Donald Trump is canceling these interviews is that when he starts to stumble, he starts to pivot. He wants to talk about you. He'll start attacking you, Laura, instead of talking about policy issues because he can't recall what they are. He cannot repeat consistently his position on key issues like the economy, like crime, or like immigration that are key issues to voters. And that's what you're seeing in his decline right now.
So, yeah, again, just to add to the list of former Trump administration people that are just saying, do not put this man back in the White House. Do not do it. And what is really drawing a lot of people's focus is, like I was saying, he's supposed to be having a town hall. And he can't focus. I talked about this in the Coachella speech and how enraging it is that he doesn't even put together a Trump's stump speech. He doesn't prepare. He doesn't anything. What everybody's telling us is he's got pudding for brains, and he can't. He just can't. And we saw it. If anything happens during this town hall, we had somebody faint because, MAGA, it's who they are. It's a bunch of crazy old people, and they don't handle getting hot and things like that. It's so it had somebody faint, which caused him to pause. Then he tried to get going again, and he was obviously off his game. He was obviously off the subject. And then somebody else had a medical emergency, and they had to pause for a second. No Money G says it's not elder abuse at this point for Trump. Someone who's rambling incoherently, constantly in front of people and leaders. Yeah, what he's talking about, that actually happened, folks. Got caught on a mic. He's sitting there talking, and he sounded like he filled his drawers. When I saw that, I thought somebody dubbed it over. Turns out, no, it wasn't. It really happened. And he just stood there like it didn't happen. But he paused, just filled his drawers right there. And it was disgusting. It was just disgusting. But anyways, so back to his big town hall rally. Philip Halport says GOP paid pollsters keep injecting Trump pro points. Yeah, they do. They do. I'm telling you. And by the way, if you don't follow Philip Halport, he's a great follow on social media. Philip, link your social media. He really is. He catches news stories that a lot of people miss. And he's a great follow. I'm glad you're here. I'm very honored that you're part of the audience, Philip. But yeah, so he's thrown off his game, right? And he loses his track. So he doesn't really know the information because, like I keep saying, he's got pudding for brains. So what does he do? In a town hall, he's only taken 5 questions for 39 minutes. And you saw this on Kimmel. It was everywhere. So folks, please fact check me on this. For 39 minutes, because he's completely lost the plot, cannot continue because he doesn't really know the information, doesn't really know what he's talking about, didn't care enough to develop a stump speech. He couldn't go back and riff on anything. He's out there and played music. Screamed, whoever's got my iPad in the back, I want you to go to my playlist and we're going to play Pavarotti. And people were like, Pavarotti, Ave Maria starts piping loud, play it loud. Starts piping through the sound system. And what's supposed to be, we're in the last 3 weeks. This is it. You're supposed to be sealing the deal. And people in the audience were like, what the hell? Oh, okay. So we listened to Pavarotti. I guess he needed a break. And folks, that was not a negative comment towards Hal. I love Hal for that. I do. I am a sparkler. I love Hal Sparks. When he gets into a subject and he's like, okay, you know what? We're talking about this, but we need more information. He will stop the show and he will get you that information. I love Hal Sparks for that. I do. That was not a negative comment towards Hal at all. You know, guys, I rave about Hal Sparks. But yeah, Trump has just lost it. And then the next song, he calls for another song. And people are like, what? What? And then he starts dance directing it towards Puppy Killer. Yeah, I mean, and she's doing it. She's mimicking his dance maneuver. It was weird. I mean, it was just nuts. And then the third song comes on. And people in the audience, you could just see it. The camera kept panning around looking for people that were happy about this. Because did y'all ever see that movie Legend with Tom Hardy where he plays both brothers? If you haven't seen that movie, it's fantastic. There's a character in it called Crazy Teddy, who is the boyfriend of one of the Cray brothers. And he just laughs hysterically at everything that Reggie Cray said. I mean, he's just it's you just got to see the movie to know what I'm talking about. Crazy Teddy. You could hear him in the background all the freaking time. That's what this was like, man. They had like designated laughers and designated applauders, and it was the most inappropriate nutball thing. And they're following him now. They're following him because Trump had to sit down with Bloomberg at the Chicago Economic Forum. And I've got a couple clips of that. And I know I don't like to hear Trump talk. You don't like to hear Trump talk. But it's really, we've got to, because I'm going to tell you something. The mainstream media is missing the important point here. Yeah, he's got pudding for brains. Yeah, he said stupid things. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot more to it. So let's get through a couple more clips. This is Trump at his Georgia rally that I was talking about. Let's play those first, and I want to get to the economic forum afterwards.
He walked in with a couple of young constituents to show him the Capitol as I remember it, and they accused him of showing in Russia's what? And he became, instead of
what the hell are Russians? What are Russians? He has just lost his damn mind.
He walked in with a couple of young constituents to show him the Capitol as I remember it, and they accused him of showing in Russia's what? And he became, instead of most people, they say, oh, please, he became the opposite, indignant and wild, and he has done some job on the committee. Barry Loudermilk.
Yeah, Barry Loudermilk's a freaking clown. And that's happening more and more and more and more. He can't keep track of a thought. He can't. All he can do is trash our country and remember a couple things that are just negative and nasty to say.
But with our victory, we'll become the greatest, strongest, freest, safest, and the most powerful nation the world has ever seen. We're going to put it back together fast. 4 years ago, we were respected. Now they laugh at us. Other countries laugh at us. I had a good interview today with Bloomberg. Did anybody see that? That was like,
yeah, that interview with Bloomberg didn't go well.
He was a Trump hater. And brilliantly, my staff didn't tell me that. I said, who is this guy? Sir, he hates you very much. He's been after you. So they got me all started before I went up, but it was a great interview. And I think it really showed the plan.
So, you know, it didn't go well because afterwards he's like, oh, he was a Trump hater. He was a Trump hater. Yeah, it's not the way he was talking to him when he was there. But just to give you some idea how it went, this was a serious, again, we're in the last 3 weeks, folks. You're supposed to be sealing the deal. The Chicago Economic Forum, it's not a joke. This isn't a Trump rally. This was hosted by Bloomberg. I mean, a real financial rag, folks. I mean, this is serious. They really wanted to talk policy, and just to give you an idea how it went, just little things like this.
How about this? Gavin Newsom, he's the governor of California.
Newsom.
He signed Newsom, Michael.
Yeah. But do you think?
No, he corrected me. He corrected me. I said, that's the first time I've been corrected.
There are CEOs out here. If they said those sort of things about a rival CEO, they'd be sacked. Do you think it's
but
fine
they don't
for
have
a
to
president?
survive like me. They don't have to go through what I have to go through. There's never been a president that's been treated like me, so I have to fight my own way.
Well, you made a.
Yeah, he's got he's got a little bit of support there. You could hear that was probably about 20, 30 people that were clappers, but you could hear as we play a couple of clips, see if you can hear there's like 5 or 6 from the campaign that are supposed to, woo! Yeah, I mean, it's hilarious, man. It is freaking hilarious. But it's one thing to talk about Trump and he doesn't, sure, he stepped on it. He did a lousy job. It was a terrible interview. Great. But there are important things to take out of it. And the corporate media really needs to do a better job of digging in to these interviews. They've got to, for instance, let's talk about this. You're talking about auto workers.
United States, and they have a little bit, but you know what they really are? Assembly, like in South Carolina. But they build everything in Germany, and then they assemble it here. They get away with murder because they say, oh, yes, we're building cars. They don't build cars. They take them out of a box and they assemble them. We could have our child do it.
Can we come back?
But you saw the United States, and they have a little bit.
So, yeah, just took a big, giant crap on auto workers. Just child could do your job. And the fact is he doesn't understand. He just really doesn't understand what it is, what these people do. He doesn't get it. This is what he's talking about. He's talking about the BMW plant down in Spartanburg, South Carolina. This is the BMW plant. I mean, it's a massive facility. Massive facility. It is. And they assemble, this is their assembly plant. They assemble BMWs there, and it's fantastic to have that plant there. I mean, it is great that we're building these cars here in the United States. But no, it's not like they just open up a box and put a kit car together. I mean, you saw the size of that facility. Folks, an auto worker isn't just an assembly line worker. An auto worker is a forklift driver. An auto worker is a robotics repair technician. An auto worker is a maintenance worker that controls, that handles climate control facilities, because some of the components that go into these cars during storage, and a lot of that facility is storage. It's coordination. I mean, you have to have, sure, you got a guy standing on a line that's assembling a car, but you've got to have the logistics around that guy that can get him the right part for the right car at the right time as these things are moving down an assembly line. This is a very detailed, very, very structured, complex system to efficiently build these cars. And no, they don't just open up a box, build them in Germany. I mean, did you want tires on that car? Because a lot of the cars that roll out of that plant are high-end cars. They have Pirelli P0 tires, and P0 tires are made in this factory in Bilotta, Italy. So you've got to have somebody do the work, the logistics, to pre-order the tires based on how many of these cars they want to build, to have them have them shipped in, all the logistics that go into, these are all auto workers, folks. These are all auto workers. These guys that work in these warehouses that keep track of shipping containers and production in the Pirelli facilities and know exactly how many tires they've got on hand so they don't have too many. You don't want to have leftover tires after the run. All of that. Those are auto workers, man. And yeah, I would love to see your kid try to do anything. I know you are above average people, but yeah, let's see your kid try that. Thanks for the support. I appreciate you. I really do, Amy. An auto worker is a mechanical engineer like my husband. Exactly. Peter Campbell, Henry Ford brought the U.S. Assembly Line in Highland Park in 1913. Appreciate you, Peter. I do. ET says Trump is letting out his inner Hitler and the corporate media ignores it for the horse race. Absolutely. That is the point where I'm going to stick with me, folks, because I don't want to get sidetracked too much on this, but I just want to give you an idea of how dumb this concept is. Do you want lights on that BMW? Do you want lights on that? Well, then you better talk to Morelli. They're the ones that make the headlights and taillights for it. And they're in Tennessee. They're not in Germany. They're making them in Tennessee. And did you want that BMW to start? I mean, because the ignition components, the batteries and stuff, well, they're made by Borg Warner right here in Longview, Texas, people. That's right. Right down the road, baby. Right down the road. And Donald Trump, who wants to be president of the United States, has no freaking clue. He knows less about the about manufacturing cars and the logistics it takes, who makes a component, how cars are, the entire concert that is required to make a car, knows less about it than my hillbilly ass sitting here in Texas talking to you. And he wants to be president of the United States. No, hell no. But believe me, folks, that wasn't it. That way it got much worse. Amanda says we have to continue to support independent media like you and Midas Touch. I love Midas Touch, and she is absolutely right. We are the ones that are filling the void in their failures. We are, because there is so much more out of this interview. This is him talking about Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell is the head of the Federal Reserve Bank. The Federal Reserve Bank, folks, we'll talk about that in just a second. Let's play.
Whether you want to keep Jerome Powell as chair of the Federal Reserve, his term as chair runs on to May 2026. Would you seek to remove or demote him?
Look, I think it's the greatest job in government. You show up to the office once a month and you say, let's see, flip a coin. And everybody talks about you like you're a god. Oh, what will he do? I mean, before, the guy used to walk into my office, he was like begging, he was fine.
But you did talk you talked about removing him.
I want to stop right there for just a second. Everybody that's ever done business with Donald Trump, he has some shitty story like that he's made up in his head. Just like Jimmy Kimmel killed him with that stuff last night. He was talking about at his rally. He made up a lie about Jimmy Kimmel. He just made up a lie about Jerome Powell. He came into my office and he was begging me. This is what Donald Trump is. He is insane. And he was doing this before his brains turned to mush. This is just the kind of individual he is. But let's finish this because this is an important point.
Him once.
I did, because he was keeping the rates too high.
Yeah.
And I was right.
And you would do that again?
In fact, he actually dropped them too much when I did this. Because I said I was threatening to terminate.
Okay. This is Donald Trump talking about Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve and putting on full display that he has no idea what the Federal Reserve does. I mean, the Federal Reserve is responsible for our monetary policy. Yes, they dictate interest rates because they're the people that banks come to borrow money. They are the people that regulate our banking system. No, they don't just sit there and do nothing and then once a month walk into a room and flip a coin to decide about interest rates. No, they are regulating our banking industry. Does your bank have too many outstanding loans? Are you at risk? Do you have enough liquid reserves in your bank, or have you overextended yourself? It is the Federal Reserve that monitors all of this activity. Jerome Powell is an extremely accomplished individual. He just is. And our inflation that you're seeing is a direct result of the extreme competence of Jerome Powell and Janet Yellen. Mod Day, thank you. Keep up the fight. Stronger together. Sad corporate media. Amen. Thank you for that support, Mod. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I want you to think about what just happened, what Donald Trump is saying there. He thinks that the head of the Federal Reserve just doesn't do anything but come in once a month, flip a coin, decide whether interest rates go up or down, this, that, and the other. Da, da, da. Think about what just happened with inflation. Every economist in the world was saying, brace yourself, because to reverse this idiocy that came out of COVID due to Donald Trump, we're going to have to see some deflation, folks, because they're going to really have to tamp this down. They're going to have to, it's like when you get a runaway diesel engine, the only thing you can really do is smother the intake, starve it for air, and try to get it to stop running, or it explodes. And every economist was out there was saying they're going to have to smother the economy at a time when we really desperately need, this is bad. It's going to be rough, folks, because, we need people back to work, but inflation has gone so crazy. They're just going to have to smother the economy and keep it from opening back up. And that advice is what happened in a lot of European countries. Ask our European audience. They know. This is why the American economy took off like a shot, because Joe Biden did not listen to this. He and Jerome Powell and Janet Yellen sat down and said, look, the inflation's going to hurt, but if we do what everybody else is saying that we're going to do, it's going to be a disaster. We have to get people back to work. We have to get the factories back open. We've got to get the marketplaces back open. We have to get the shelves full again. And yeah, these bastards are going to gouge. They are. These bastards are going to gouge. But if we choke everything down, everybody gets hurt badly. I mean, these are the kind of policy decisions. Imagine being Jerome Powell. Imagine being Janet Yellen and looking at what's happening. And you've got to formulate policy. And I don't mean just an idea. I mean, you literally have every bank in the country. You're monitoring what every freaking bank in the country is doing, the shape that they're in, how many are going to survive, what are your resources. I mean, yeah, they don't just flip a damn coin, if you get the point. Martha Moser, thank you for the support. I appreciate you. But you've got Donald Trump. Exactly. Thank you, Moose. I didn't think to say that. That's why I love you people. It's not a concept. It's not a concept of a plan. It is a real working, detailed plan. And Donald Trump just doesn't understand. He doesn't. I mean, listen to him. He just dodged questions like crazy. This is just another stupid one. Where he's talking about cutting. He was asked a direct question about what is your policy for cutting spending? You're talking about wanting to cut spending. What are you wanting to do? We need to know.
Give me an example of something you will do that will get rid of government spending.
Well, let me give you an example. When I came into government,
thank you, Kristen.
The first thing.
An example going forward.
No,
not
but
what you did in the past.
this is going forward because it's the same thing. When I first sat down, a general came into my office and he said, "Sir, it's nice to meet you. Would you please sign this?" I said, "What is it?" "It's a contract for a new Air Force One," which is actually two planes, not one, two Boeing 747. And I said, "How much is it?" $5.7 billion. So it's a hell of an expensive plane, but there's reasons for that. He said, "Nope, I'm not signing it." I said, "Who negotiated?" "Barack Hussein Obama." I said, "I'm not signing it." "Why?" Because there's a lot of fat. He said, "I'm not signing. It's got to have a 3 on it."
Yeah. Folks, Air Force One is 34 years old. it is at the time and for the last several decades has been the most advanced aircraft on the planet for a world leader. Why? Because stability. The American dollar, the American president, our government has been the source of stability. And we can't allow craziness like assassinations and things like that. And Air Force One is a technological marvel, or actually was. Just Jones says Washingtonians post headline one today saying Trump's tariffs would shock the world's market. Yeah, I actually got that headline right here for you. We're going to get to that. Thank you for being so far ahead of it. Thank you. And I'm not kidding. I actually have that headline here. Let me show you. I actually have that headline right here for you. Do you see I got one hand up? I'm not typing. Yep. I love you people for being so far ahead of the curve. I really do. It's nice to talk to people that are informed and know what the hell's going on. And yeah, bingo. Air Force One is not just another commercial aircraft. It is a technological terror. This thing is designed to do amazing, incredible things in both self-defense and its ability, as far as such a big, monstrous aircraft, its ability to stay in the air and refuel in the air, and not just refueling. That's old technology, but there's a lot more to it that they don't tell you about Air Force One, and it's 34 years old. And it's time for a new one. Well, time for a new one, folks. It is. But that jackass wouldn't do it because Barack Obama signed it. And no, Barack Obama did not negotiate. Do you think the president just sat down with aircraft manufacturers and defense contractors and negotiated a deal for Air Force One? No. There's an entire infrastructure in the United States government that does this for a living. He just signed the bill. That's it. Congress passes the bill. The president signs it. I mean, the insanity, but because it had Barack Hussein Obama's name on it, he wasn't going to do it. And that's the kind of just pudding brain stupidity. And what's worse is he's so arrogant. He really believes that he's good. Listen to what he says about Jerome Powell and Jerome Powell's job.
To say, as a very good businessman and somebody that's used a lot of sense, I think I have the right to say that, I think I'm better than he would be. I think I'm better than most people would be in that position. I think I have the right to say, I think you should go up or down a little bit. I don't think I should be allowed to order it, but I think I have the right to put in comments as to whether or not interest rates should go up or down.
Now, I want you to listen to this again. He does a little tap dancing there because he can't help himself. This is supposed to be the quiet part. 2025, Project 2025. Right here. He's telling you, I'm going to directly control the Federal Reserve. Folks, the Federal Reserve is fairly autonomous from the president. It is. They work together in concert, but the president does not run the Federal Reserve for a reason. And exactly, KH, love you people so much. God, I love you people. KH, Mr. Bankruptcy here, the guy that bankrupted a casino, Carl, a casino, says that he thinks that, yeah, he can do a better job. He can run the Federal Reserve. Oh my God, do you know how complex that job is? How many banks that oh my God. Just the notion of putting brains here. And I want you to listen to it because you can hear it. And he knows he's screwed up. So he tries to tap dance. Well, I don't think I should be able to directly, but I should be able to suggest. I mean, you can see, you can actually see when he realizes, I wasn't supposed to say that.
To say, as a very good businessman and somebody that's used a lot of sense, I think I have the right to say that, you know, I think I'm better than he would be. I think I'm better than most people would be in that position. I think I have the right to say, I think you should go up or down a little bit. I don't think I should be allowed to order it, but I think I have the right to put in comments as to whether or not interest.
Yeah. Yeah. The slip is showing, buddy. Your slip is showing. And I tell you, this wasn't the only one where the old Project 2025 unitary executive, I'm gonna be the one in charge, and I'm gonna be the one. Listen to what he says about Google. And by the way, Google's parent company is called Alphabet. We'll just use the names interchangeably. Here we go. What's important in this clip, before I started, I just want you to,
US Justice.
before I started, I want to be clear about this. I want you to hear the authoritarianism. I want you to listen to this clip through the lens of Project 2025. You know, he just let it slip. I want to run the Federal Reserve. Now listen to what he says here.
Justice Department is thinking about breaking up Alphabet, as Google likes to be known now. Should Google be broken up?
I just haven't gotten over something the Justice Department did yesterday, where Virginia cleaned up its voter rolls and got rid of thousands and thousands of bad votes, and the Justice Department sued them that they should be allowed to put those bad votes and illegal votes back.
There were no bad votes. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. And what the Justice Department sued Virginia over, and he wanted this to happen, he just told you he wanted this to happen, is that Virginia broke its own laws. They did a voter purge that was flawed and broken, and they did it after their own deadline. They purged people off the voter rolls that were legitimate voters. Not votes. This didn't have anything to do with votes. It was voter registration. And this pudding-brained moron can't tell the difference between voter registration and actual voting. You know, they keep saying, well, dead people are voting. We have dead people in the voter registrations. Yeah, show me how Bernie from Weekend at Bernie's made it into a voting booth and voted. Show me how that happened. No, dead people aren't voting. But he's pissed because that was their plan, man. They were supposed to purge people, legitimate people, because remember, elections are won just by percentage points, just a few percentage points. People keep saying, oh, Texas is going to turn blue. No, Texas is blue. If we just get about, 8 out of 100 more people to just realize that their vote matters and show up, Texas, we are already blue. You already believe it. It's just getting you to show up and actually vote. Wow, I'm going to try to read this one. I'm the Omnissiah Sphinx. I think I got that right. Catfishing. So the guy who is controlled by the bank wants to control the Fed that controls the bank. Help it make sense. Yeah, exactly. But let's continue on with this.
Back in and let the people vote. So I haven't gotten over that. A lot of people have seen that. They can't even believe it.
The question is about Google, President Trump.
Yeah, look, Google's got a lot of power. They're very bad to me, very, very bad to me. I mean, I can speak from that standpoint. They only have bad stories. In other words, if I have 20 good stories and 20 bad stories, and everyone's entitled to that, you'll only see.
I'm sorry. I want to pause this for one more second to just draw your attention. Look at these two men's body language. Just look at their body language. You've got Trump. He slept over and he's just an old, defeated, confused. And then look at the interviewer. Obviously, I mean, just very comfortable in his position, very comfortable with what he's saying. But anyways, let's continue.
Only see the 20 bad stories. And I called the head of Google the other day and I said, I'm getting a lot of good stories lately, but you don't find them in Google. I think it's a whole rigged deal. I think Google's rigged just like our government is rigged.
Okay, let's be clear about this. A candidate for president of the United States just openly said, I called Google and I told Google, you better be putting out good stories about me. That seems like it would be fairly important. It does. It just seems like, could you imagine Kamala Harris calling Google, the CEO of Alphabet, and saying, yeah, I ain't liking your coverage. You better straighten it up. Could you imagine? No, because we're not authoritarians, but he just openly says, yeah, I did that.
So you would break them up, in other words.
I'd do something. You have to have.
So yeah, Project 2025. You see, talking about going after the media. He's talking about attacking the media. He's talking about breaking up companies if he doesn't like their coverage. I'm not telling you. He's telling you. He's telling you. Not me. I'm just playing his words. And they say, I'm a hateful bastard just trying to get him killed, trying to get him assassinated. By what? Showing you what the man says? I mean, for Christ's sake. And he's not the only one. He isn't the only one. We're going to pause this. We're going to come back to finish up with Trump. But he is far from the only one. You got Desantis in Florida that's just lost his damn mind. They know the amendment, the ballot initiative to put abortion on into the Constitution in Florida is devastating for them. Absolutely. And he has done the most insane stuff. He's threatened television stations if they play commercials. If they play commercials about this amendment, that they will lose their license. He has threatened to jail people. And now he's come up with this BS report accusing that they got way more signatures than they needed, folks, to get this on the ballot. Way more signatures than they needed. Now he's coming out and saying that, they're all fraud. It's all fraud. It is all fraud. They did an investigation. And whenever you have something like 1 million signatures, you get some dumbass that signs Donald Duck. You get some dumbass that signs Mickey Mouse or will sign Ron DeSantis or whatever. That's normal. That's absolutely normal. They go through, they try to weed those out. They do. Well, they went through and they sorted through the signatures, and they found a couple signatures where people signed idiotic things. That's normal. But they had so many more signatures than what they needed. It's a joke. I mean, it's just a freaking joke. But he is using Florida money to try to push a narrative. They're all fraudulent. It's the whole thing's a fraud. So everybody's waiting. Now what? Now what? Does he try to interfere with the election? Is this something that they try to monkey everything in the works after the election? We don't know, because of the insanity that surrounds Republicans. You know, I was talking about the stability of America. And folks, please, our European audience, our Canadian friends, this isn't arrogance. This is just a business reality. The reason the dollar is one of the major reasons the dollar is the world's currency is because of stability. It is. The reason the New York Stock Exchange is one of the preeminent stock exchanges in the world is because of stability and the regulations that we have. And normally our presidency isn't this insane. We have gone through decades and decades and decades of democratic stability. These Republicans are just throwing it all. I mean, just lighting it on fire and burning it to ashes. And it's insane. It's insane. Let's get back to Trump talking about he is quadrupled down now on his tariffs. This exchange is just fantastic.
United States and build a factory in the United States so it doesn't have to pay the tariff.
That will,
If
take,
I have-
that will take many, many,
No,
as you know, that
no,
will
it'll
take
go
many
quickly.
years.
In fact, I'll tell you, there's another theory is that the tariff, you make it so high, so horrible, so obnoxious that they'll come right away. When I do the 10%, 10% is really, first of all, 10% when you collect it is hundreds of billions of dollars. The numbers that you're talking, all reducing our deficit. But really, so there's two ways of looking at a tariff. You can do it as a money-making instrument, or you can do it as something to get the companies. Now, if you want the companies to come in, the tariff has to be a lot higher than 10%, because 10% is not enough. Guys, they're not going to do it for 10. But you make the United States and build.
This is just making me nauseous. As somebody that understands trade negotiations, as somebody that has studied and followed and watched trade negotiations, this is literally making me nauseous. We just had the Chips and Science Act, and they took advantage of COVID. They took advantage of what happened to the business environment in COVID. Again, going back to stability. And they went to all of these companies and said, look what just happened. Look what just happened. Look at the instability. Look at your inability to get chips out of these markets. Just build them here. What do you need to build them here? We'll help. And AMD and Intel and 10 other chip manufacturers you've never heard of all told the White House, this is what we need. We need X, Y, and Z. And they said, okay, look, we can do 8 out of 10 of these. And they passed the legislation and they got it done. And now we are building chip factories all over the South and Southwest. No tariffs. No one got hurt. You didn't have to pay that billions and billions of dollars he's talking about. That's out of your pocket. I mean, I need you to think for a minute that you're the CEO of a widget manufacturing company. A widget is just a made up product. And you make your widgets in China or a component of your widgets in China. And you sell them here in the United States, and everybody loves your widgets. And you've got a great business. Everybody wants to, Walmart's calling you, man. They want your widgets in Walmart. And then Trump puts a 25% tariff on your widget. What do? Do you stop making widgets? No. Do you stop selling widgets here? No. Do you close down your factory in China and move your factory here? Well, that's what Trump's arguing, but no, you don't. And here's why. Because because it's a blanket tariff. Everybody else has that same 25% tax on their product now. So your competitors aren't beating you. You just take that 25% and you pass it on to the people that want to buy your widgets. That's it. You tax the American people. And you keep on keeping on. And what does that do? That means you're going to sell less widgets, because people that can afford your widgets at $75 may not be able to afford your widgets at $100. So economic activity dies. Uh-oh. What happened to all that revenue? that was supposed to be coming in from the tariffs. Folks, it's really this simple. It really is. Tariffs are horrible. And everybody knows it. Mr. Knudsen, good to see you, my friend. I used to be a purchase manager doing deals companies all over the world. Trump is clueless how international trade and diplomacy works. His tariffs would be a disaster for the USA and its trading partners. Mr. Knudsen, would you do me a favor? Would you fact check me on the example I just gave? I realize it's simplistic. Everybody knows it's simplistic, but just the basic, am I spot on with what I'm saying as far as a blanket tariff and Trump's blanket tariff? What would it do? I'll continue on. I'll look for your answer. This is why I love this. I tell everybody all the time, come be part of the live audience. We have amazing, outstanding people in our audience, people that know what the hell they're doing, people that have experience. Thank you, Mr. Knudsen. I appreciate you. Thank you for validating what I'm saying. Yes. And this pudding-brained moron is saying stuff like this. And you know what? You know what's amazing? 3 weeks out from the election, people are starting to believe him. They've started to realize they can't control him, that he's really going to do this, that he's really going to take over the Federal Reserve, that he's really going to do all of this. I want you to watch it. I need you to pinch yourself and realize you are awake, that we're really here. You were not in the obituaries last night. This is not something, this is reality. This really happened.
If they were smart, they'd take the January 6th and go hard at it. And they would say, he wants to pardon these people who attacked our Capitol. I worked in that building as a young man. To me, the Congress of the United States is one of the great examples of the strength of our democracy and a jewel of the Constitution. And what those people did when they violently attacked the Capitol in order to stop a constitutionally mandated meeting of the Congress to accept the results of the Electoral College is a stain on our history. And every one of those sons of who did that, we ought to find them, try them, and send them to jail. And one of the critical mistakes made in this campaign is that Donald Trump has now said, I'm going to pardon those people because they're hostages. No, they're not. They're thugs. There were people, some of them had automatic weapons at a hotel in Virginia hoping to be able to be called up. We had people saying, where's Nancy Pelosi? We had people who were, taking desks and sitting at the desk of the Speaker of the House and attempting to, find people in order to bring them to justice and saying yelling at the police, kill them all. And so why Trump has done this is beyond me. If he had said, you know what? I trust our jury system. I trust law enforcement. Anybody who assaulted the Capitol ought to be. He said it once or twice, but now he's appearing in a video with people who assaulted police officers with an intent to take the Capitol by force. So, look, I'm a Republican. I don't want to have a Democrat president. I want to have a Republican president. But we're facing as a country a decision, and everybody gets to make it, as to what kind of leadership we're going to have. And to me, it is a mistake on the part of the Trump campaign to allow the president's impulses to identify himself with the people who assaulted the Capitol rather than people who stand for law and order.
Yeah. That just happened. Yeah. Yeah. You notice, he's such a political animal. He's such a dyed-in-the-wool. I'll tell people, I am a rabid partisan Democrat. I am. So I understand when he was saying this, there were the safeguards there. He's not me. He's not me. He will not. Karl Rove does not believe that sometimes you've got to excoriate your own people to help them. He doesn't believe that. You never say anything bad about a Republican. That's his thing. So he tried to dial it down at the end there. But yeah, when you've got Karl Rove saying, no, hell no, you are losing in a landslide. When you are a Republican and you have, I know, right? I know JFO's is Carl Rove speaking sense. I'm in the matrix. I know. I watched this last night and I turned to Mrs. Texas Paul. I was on my phone when I found that last night because it just happened yesterday. And pinch me, please, honey, pinch me. Are you seeing me? Do you see me? Because I see you. Do you see me? Yeah, I mean, is this really happening? And I sent it to her and she's like, wow. You know, Karl Rove comes from Texas. I mean, a long history of you know, when you have lost Turd Blossom, you're done. You are done. Stick a fork in them, done. Tam Simple Life says, Randall Terry has a horrifying TV ad about abortion after The View is over. Horrible pictures and attacking The View. Randall Terry. I appreciate y'all calling stuff out so that people can know. And yeah, Karl Rove is as right-wing gets. What is happening is that finally, this is really happening, folks. I'm talking about inside baseball, people whispering to each other. I'm getting emails from people. What is really happening is that you are getting people that were, you know, when Kemp came out, you're making a business decision about Trump, and Rachel Maddow just excoriated them. By the way, if you didn't see Rachel Maddow's takedown of the business decision of electing Trump, you've got to go back and watch that. I mean, she literally poured gasoline on Donald Trump, burned him down to ashes, and then squatted and pissed all over it. I mean, she did an amazing job. Go back and watch that where she talks about Trump as a business decision. But they have figured out they can't control him. And they have figured out, yeah, he's this much of an idiot. And they're really going to try this Project 2025 stuff. And we're going to lose our stability. And yeah, this is a reality. This is a headline from Washington Post today. Off the charts, how Trump's tariffs would shock U.S. and world economies. And by shock, they mean destroy. You have lost everyone. I mean, it is over. MAGA says that Rove has turned into a left-wing commie. I believe it. They're going to have that core. Nutball. It's a cult. There's going to be some of it you're just never going to lose. I'm disappointed that former President Bush isn't speaking out. He's a coward. There's one thing that I lost the tab. I want to pull this up to so you can see how far this has gone. What is happening? You folks know who Jamie Dimon is. You know who Jamie Dimon is. This guy is 100% Republican CEO. He is the head of JP Morgan Chase. This guy, when Trump said I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and not lose a voter, what he was really saying was that he could shoot Jamie Dimon's wife on Fifth Avenue and Jamie Dimon would still cut him a check. That's who Jamie Dimon is. Yeah, this happened. Everybody calls him Diamond. His name is spelled Dimon, Dimon. Jamie Dimon. His name isn't Diamond. I don't know why people call him Diamond. Yeah. Trump came out and ran an ad that said, look, I'm so smart. Jamie Dimon endorses me. Exactly. Mark Cuban has been very vocal. But yeah, JP Morgan Chase just came out, they actually called a press conference to say, no, that did not happen. That is made up crap. We did not do. We are not behind this. This is no. This is where we are 3 weeks out from the election. And Trump's standing on a stage for 39 minutes dancing. Ave Maria. Yeah, Trump never started. Actually, you know what's scary is when you hear him talk about economics, he has. There is this sliver community within economists that still disagree with the assessment of the Smoot-Hawley tariffs and the effect of tariffs during the Great Depression. And Trump mimics them. And these are the kind of people that are part of Project 2025, these fringe outliers. So it's not that he hasn't studied them. It's that he just believes bullshit. Mr. Newsom, you need to put 10,000% tariff on the Trump Bible. No kidding. I mean, that Chinese-made piece of crap. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be disrespectful to China or so there are some good-made Chinese products, but that's a piece of crap. Well, there's one more thing that's happened that's interesting that the right-wingers are going to somehow try to spin this into something awful and something ugly. But enough about Trump. This happened. Ella Emhoff was sitting in a restaurant. This had nothing to do with her. This didn't affect her in any way, shape, or form. There's a guy in New York that should never in his life gamble or buy a lottery ticket because he is part of a movement in New York where they harass cops and people who cover their license plates so they don't have to. It's a Karen crusade. People that don't pay tolls, they're outraged at these people. So anytime they find a license plate cover, everybody has a license plate, and then there's that thing you put over it to hold it in place so it looks a little bit better than just a license plate on your car. If the cover's too big or they don't like it or they're NYPD, these Karens will run up and tear it off. This moron has the worst luck of any person on the face of the planet because an NYPD detective, that's how Secret Service works. They bring in muscle from the locals whenever they're anywhere. The Secret Service that was protecting Ella Emhoff had an NYPD detective as part of their group. He didn't like that the plastic cover that they had gotten a little dirty. And so he ran up to this detective's car and ripped it off and starts yelling at the police and Secret Service. I mean, could you imagine being this Karen and not, I mean, of all the people in play, they've done this all over New York. Could you imagine, I mean, the kind of luck it takes to not know, Ella Emhoff is in the restaurant. This is her Secret Service protection, and this is the car. I mean, this guy has to have the worst luck of anybody in the world. Oh, we talk about winning the stupid lottery. But yeah, that happened. And because it involved Ella Emhoff, the right wing is going to say something horrible or something terrible or try to spin it into something terrible. That's all it was. It didn't involve Ella Emhoff. She was never in any danger. The Secret Service, when this guy started screaming and stuff outside, said, okay, come on, let's go. We're out of here. And they put her in the car and drove off. That's it. That's the whole story. It's nothing. But I just loved. I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but I mean, could you imagine the shock that this guy had because he's so used to this kind of behavior? And the NYPD are ordered to restrain themselves in these situations because, they're trying to improve their image, improve their name, and you go rip the plastic cover off this license plate, and then all hell rains down on. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, hit the find out phase of the fuck around and find out. Sorry for Link. Oops, sorry. Well, look, folks, thank you for spending your afternoon with me. I enjoyed it. Thank you for all the support. I really do. You allow me to do this full time. You allow me to do this as a job. I am very grateful. Thank you for the coffee. I appreciate it. I received I received the coffee, and we're gonna do it. I'm gonna actually bring it in here and show you in the next show. I got the Pete's also. I got the Kitty Town, which supports a cat rescue, and I'm very grateful. I am extremely grateful. I got the peach that y'all sent. That was wonderful. We're actually done with the African blend. That was incredible. That was good stuff. That was really good. We finished the lighthouse. That was really good. So yeah, we're gonna do some coffee reviews in the next show. I hope you can be here. And if you know any other groups, because I'm telling you, there are small roasters all over the country that aren't just making great coffee, that are doing great things. If y'all know anybody in your area, email me. Let me know. I'm glad to call people out doing great work, like Kitty Town, who takes a portion of their profits and they help feed cats in shelters. So yeah, and I loved it. And yes, it was an entire bag of pumpkin spice, Mr. Knudsen. Somebody sent me a bag of Kitty Town pumpkin spice coffee about yay big. And I don't want to get their name wrong, so I'm not trying to tell you the name. When you wrote the note, send me an email. When you wrote the note, I couldn't read your wife's name. It was I couldn't make it out. So next show we will talk about it. I do appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here. Love spending time with you. Thanks for being so smart and so wonderful. Enjoy some Texas cities at night.